Fantasy, as a genre, is without limits, and it's a medium when expressed with the exaggerating art of anime leaves no doubt for how magnificent it can be. Hello and welcome back to Animeology. Today we've compiled for you a list of the 20 most amazing fantasy anime of all time. Be sure to stick out to the end, as there are bound to be at least a few you would want to check out. Number 20, Somali and the Forest Spirits. Within this fantastical world inhabited by demons, fairies, and beasts of all manner, humans roam as scarce and endangered animals. Once the dominant species, a colossal war with the demons extinguished their numbers, and now the only purpose they serve is to be hunted and feasted upon. Such is the life of these humans, filled with fear and hunger. But as fate has it, a lonely human child, Somali, comes upon a wandering golem, protector of nature. Golem, also his name, sees the innocent child as something he must protect from the dangers this land entails. Thus, a most beautiful journey takes birth as the duo travel to reunite the little one with her parents.
I will stay with you every minute that I can, even if I am...
Number 19, Katanagatari. Set in the Edo period of Japan, this tale speaks of a mighty sword master, Shichika Yasuri, practitioner of the unorthodox Kyoto-ryu sword style, involved for the user to use his own body as a blade. Living a quiet, peaceful life with his sister, the pace of his life shifts when the ambitious Togame steps before him. A strategist for the shogunate, she comes with a proposal to help her locate and retrieve the 12 legendary swords dubbed the Deviant Blades. As for Shichika, he couldn't care less of the swords. Rather, it's the woman at hand that persuades him into accepting. Thus, the duo begin their trek to locate the wielders of these legendary blades, pit against might they've never encountered before. Number 18, The Eminence in Shadow. The only ambition Minoru Kageno has is becoming as strong as possible, and in pursuit of his dream, he has undertaken all sorts of rigorous training. But this dream of his is cut short when he gets involved in a truck accident. Before passing out, he laments at his powerlessness, as no matter how much he trained, there was nothing he could do about his human limitations. However, instead of dying, Minoru reawakens in another world as a young boy named Sid, belonging to the noble Kageno family. In this world of magic, Sid finally gets the powers he had long desired for and goes on to establish the Shadow Garden, a special group formed to fight the Cult of Diablos, an organization born out of Sid's imagination. But as the group grows in reputation and members, it becomes evident that the Cult of Diablos is more than just an imaginary organization which has to be dealt with. Number 17, 86. The Republic of San Magnolia prides its military might upon the fact that they've developed self-sufficient machines for war, rendering no casualties whatsoever. This, of course, is just propaganda to keep people of the 85 sectors content, while a secret 86 faction exists that manually operates these machines into war. The best among them, Shinya Nozen, has witnessed many of his comrades fall prey to their cruel fate, just because of the difference in their hair color from the silver-haired Alba of the 85 sectors. Sole survivor of his every squadron till now, Shinya is adamant on remembering his fallen comrade, to not let their sacrifice be in vain. And with the assignment of their new handler, Vladiline Melise of San Magnolia, a spark of hope ignites amongst the 86, one that may either carry them to salvation or burn them with despair. Number 16, Dr. Stone. After harboring feelings for his classmate for several years, Taiju Uki is finally ready to confess to her. However, before he could utter something, a blinding green light strikes the earth, which petrifies every single human on the planet. Several millennia pass and Taiju reawakens to find the modern world had completely disappeared and was retaken by nature. In the world full of stone statues, he encounters his science-loving buddy Senku, who had already awakened a few months ago. Upon meeting his friend, Taiju discovers his master plan to launch the complete revival of modern civilization through science. Soon the duo are able to find a way to undo the petrification, taking the first step into achieving their goal. However, Senku's plan is threatened when his ideologies are challenged by those who awaken. What will become of this stone world filled with mystery? Number 15, Summertime Rendering. Both Shinpei Ajiro's parents passed early on, leaving him in the care of the Kofune family. Growing up with their two daughters, Mio and Ushio, the trio grew ever close. But when Shinpei's studies took him to Tokyo, leaving with the promise to return one day. Only if that return were under better circumstances than Ushio's sudden passing. Returning to attend his best friend's funeral, mysterious supernatural events take place that indicate for this to be an actual murder, and that to be by something non-human. Recalling an old tale about entities known as shadows, Shinpei is pit against the darkness that looms over his hometown, trying to fulfill Ushio's last ask, protect her sister Mio. Number 14, Ranking of Kings. Young Prince Boji is belittled by the people of the kingdom as he can neither hear nor speak. He's often laughed at and mocked, dubbed the useless prince. But while Boji may not be as strong physically, he definitely wields a relentless heart. That is when one day he comes across a shadow creature, and instead of being afraid, Boji finds a new friend in him, who does not look at him like others do. He starts meeting Kage, the shadow, often, and the usually abrasive creature begins to warm up to the young prince. This uncanny friendship paves the way for Boji to conquer his fears and insecurities, and despite the constant ridicule, stay determined to fulfill his desire of becoming the best king he can be. Number 13. Toilet-Bound Hanako-kun.
なんだ、気のせい？こっちだよ。
Like many schools, Kamome Academy too holds a few ghostly rumors, dubbed the Seven Mysteries. A more infamous among them is the legend of Hanako-san, a female apparition residing within the girls' toilet of the old school building. Whoever summons her shall be granted anything he desires.
Yashiro is acting very strange.
You sent her with me to destroy my Yorishiro, so naturally I had to tell her about it.
Wanting to be noticed by her crush, first-year Nene Yashiro tries to summon her, but her turns out to be a him. Hanako is a boy. And if that wasn't the end, a series of unfortunate events leads her entangled between the worlds of humans and spirits, working as Hanako's assistant. This opens her eyes to the world of apparitions, and how Hanako's other duty involves preserving the peace between these two realities, while some desire against it. Number 12. Konosuba. After dying in the most pathetic and laughable way possible, high school student and NEET Sato Kazuma finds himself sitting before the obnoxious goddess Aqua. She gives him two options, whether to start a new life or get reincarnated into a fantasy world with the task of defeating the Demon Lord and liberating the world. But before he goes, he gets to choose one item to take with him. Pissed at Aqua's personality, he chooses her. However, it turns out he made a grave error, as Aqua turns out completely useless. Their troubles do not end there, as it turns out that living in such a world was not going to be as easy as they initially imagined. Instead of getting started as an adventurer in their quest to defeat the Demon Lord, the duo must work to pay for their living expenses. Their troublesome life has only just begun. Number 11. Bungo Stray Dogs. Having been kicked from his orphanage due to suspicions of his involvement with recent attacks of a mythical tiger, a dejected Atsushi Nakajima roams the city aimless. That is, until he saves a drowning man, Dazai, a supernatural detective and a suicidal enthusiast. This trenchcoat-wearing man is after the very same tiger. As the two stick together for the time being, a sudden revelation takes place. Atsushi is the were-tiger and has kept losing his memory every time he turned. As the events unfold, he's quickly subdued by the dashing Dazai and coerced into joining his team of supernatural investigators, and thus Atsushi finds a new home, new friends, and above all, a new purpose. Number 10. To Your Eternity. Capable of changing forms under specific conditions, a mysterious orb is cast away to Earth to be observed. Its first form is that of a rock. On a snowy day, it finally starts moving when a dying wolf passes by and it attains its form and consciousness. After attaining this new body, it starts wandering without any clear destination when it comes across the wolf's master. He, a young, cheerful boy, is waiting for its tribe to return from a voyage to the south. But seeing no signs of them coming back, he decides to abandon his home and look for a way to escape with the help of the traces his tribe left behind. However, it soon becomes imminent that the boy was fighting a futile battle and gets injured during his trek. The infection only worsens, and soon enough, the boy breathes his last. The requirements for a transformation accomplished, the wolf takes the boy's form and continues the journey which he couldn't.
船の状態を少しは感じ取れるようになったと思う。
Number 9. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Setting off for another usual day of work, Kobayashi opens the door of her apartment when she comes across a frightening sight of a giant dragon staring at her from across the balcony. The dragon suddenly transforms into an energetic young girl dressed in a maid outfit, introducing herself as Toryu.
ドラゴン。
It turns out that Kobayashi met Toryu the previous night on a drunken excursion to the mountains and had promised the mythical beast to stay with her as it had nowhere to go to. Thus, Toryu had arrived as she was told to, ready to start a new life with Kobayashi by working as her personal maidservant. Hence, a new adventure in the life of Kobayashi begins as she prepares to deal with her crazy circumstances. Number 8. Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. A victim of bullying and scorn from teenage years, the 34-year-old shut-in finally finds the resolve to get back in the world, only to find himself in a tragic car accident. However, in a twist of fate, he gets reincarnated in another world as Rudeus Greyrat to two loving parents.
前世じゃ英語の勉強とか好きじゃなかったけど、分かってきたら意外と楽しいもんだ。
In this new world of magic, Rudeus quickly adapts to the environment thanks to the knowledge from his past life and starts showing magical talent that exceeds everyone's expectations. He hones his skills further with help from his tutor mate, Roxy Magurdia, while learning swordplay from his father Paul. Utilizing his second chance at life to the fullest, Rudeus tries to make the most of this opportunity while battling his past trauma. Perhaps one day he'll finally experience true love. Number 7. Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Caught up amidst a gang shooting, David's mother dies helpless while the city does nothing to assist them. This proves to be the final nail in the coffin. Now having lost everything, he decides it's time to make the elite pay. Equipping within him a military-grade Sandevistan, David vows to take back all that he and his mother deserved. Number 6. Demon Slayer. Following the death of his father, the family's responsibility falls upon Tanjiro Kamado. Though living on a secluded mountain, the Kamado family enjoys a rather happy and peaceful life, often heading into the village to sell charcoal. This time around, night falls, and he's forced to take shelter with an unknown man. Upon arriving the next day, he's met with the frightening sight as his whole family had been slaughtered, and worse on that, the sole survivor, Nezuko, had turned into a bloodthirsty demon. Devastated by the event, Tanjiro swears to avenge his family and rescue his sister. In order to achieve this, he joins the mysterious group calling themselves the Demon Slayer Corps and decides to do whatever it takes to exterminate the demons and protect his beloved sister's humanity. Number 5. Mushishi. Mushi are the most basic life form in the world and are found practically everywhere. They exist without any goal and cannot be described as either good or evil. They can exist in countless forms and are able to mimic other things around them, such as plants, diseases, and even natural phenomena like rainbows. However, this is just a vague definition of these peculiar beings, and to even call them living would be an oversimplification. Any sorts of details about them are scarce, as the majority of humanity lives unaware of their existence. So what exactly are Mushi and what is their purpose of existence? This is a question that Ginkgo, who also happens to be a Mushishi, ponders constantly on. Mushishi are those who conduct research on Mushi in hopes of understanding their role in the world. For such, Ginkgo chases any sorts of rumors that may help him get one step closer to the truth. Number 4. Chainsaw Man. Set in this accursed world of devils, Denji holds but a simple dream: to live a peaceful life, surrounded by the love of his life. Sadly, his reality is far from this, as he's forced to hunt devils by the Yakuza, all to repay the debt left by his own father. With the help of his devil pet Pochita, Denji is able to slay weaker devils, barely making a dent in his insurmountable debt. But this too ends when Denji has fulfilled his purpose for the Yakuza. Now a liability, he's slaughtered and dumped like trash. In his final moments, Denji manages to make one final effort. Fusing with Pochita, he transforms into the Chainsaw Man, slaying all that had betrayed him. Now with a target on his back, he's forced to join the official devil hunters, working in their midst to achieve his goals. Number 3. Maid in Abyss.
分かってる。
The gaping pit known as the Abyss stretches down in the depths of the earth, filled with mysterious creatures and treasures called relics. Countless individuals, known as divers, have dove deep inside the chasm in order to unravel its mysteries. The bravest and the most fearless of these divers are known as the White Whistles, who are hailed as legend by those who remain on the surface.
およそ1900年前、南海ベオルスカの孤島に巨大な縦穴が発見された。直径約1000メートル、深さは今も分かっていない。
Riko is an inspiring young diver who aspires to become a white whistle like her mother. However, as a novice, she's only allowed to roam on the surface, for he who dives deep enough may never return. That is, when her encounter with the mysterious robot, everything changes. The robot, Reg, seems to have lost his memories, but it becomes evident that he belonged to the netherworld, the extreme bottom of the abyss. That's when the two decide to go on a journey to the bottom of the abyss, in hopes to regaining Reg's memories. But the two remain unbeknownst to the harsh reality of the abyss and what fearsome enemies awaits. Number 2. Hunter x Hunter. The word unknown seems magic, and some men are attracted by this force. They're called hunters. But before one can call himself a hunter, he or she must pass a most rigorous hunter examination in which most applicants end handicapped or even get themselves killed. Each participant has their own ambitious reason for participating. Similarly, the 12-year-old Gon Freaks is here in search of his father. In hope that he will meet his father once he becomes a hunter, Gon takes the first steps towards walking in his father's footsteps. As the examination commences, he befriends the medic Leorio, the vindictive Kurapika, and an ex-assassin Killua. Although their motives differ from each other, they band together for a common goal: to clear the exam and venture into the mysterious world as hunters. Number 1. One Piece. Gold Roger, moments before his public execution, ignited the great pirate era when he spoke of a most magnificent treasure lost at sea. When he spoke of the One Piece. Thus, many great pirates set off to sea to find this treasure, changing the very balance of power. And after over 2 decades later, a boy possessing the qualities of rubber would set sail, commencing his journey of great adventures and legendary feats. His name? Monkey D. Luffy. Locating capable warriors to join him on his hunt for the One Piece and the title of Pirate King, Luffy slowly builds up a crew and sets off to trek the Grand Line, facing the horrendous challenges that comes with it. Such is the tale of a boy who dreams of becoming the Pirate King.